If it is pre-validated, it's a sure stop. It's no longer an entrepreneurship. And as a company which lasted for 13 years, we never hired a salesperson. We were literally getting more and more work as an outcome of our good work. My first potential employee, that individual, when he saw me, okay, this is a young man and the only man. How can I trust him?
19 years from finance to HR, operation to strategy, building an organization and growing it to 160 people. Entrepreneur, investor, founder and director of Satwa Capital, IIT BHU से इंजीनियरिंग की, एग्जीक्यूटिव MBA फ्रॉम इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फॉरेन ट्रेड एंड इन 2012 उन्होंने प्रूडेंशिया की नींव रखी जो 2025 में एक मेजर एक्विजिशन बन गई. पुष्पेंद्र, वेलकम टू द पॉडकास्ट. Pushpendra, it normally takes a whole life for an individual to start a company, run and build it and continue it. You took a decade, you started a company and then you exited the company. So why you took this decision of exiting and what happened?
Exiting is part of the journey, I would say. अब वो एग्जिट किसी के लिए 10 years भी हो सकता है, किसी के लिए 30 years भी हो सकता है, किसी के लिए 5 years भी हो सकता है. For me, it was the right time, which was a conscious decision of the group, and I think सब कुछ तोल मोल के देखा तो it was a good decision to just get out and let the show run without you.
So जब अपन बोल रहे हैं तोल मोल के देखा, some ideas, some factors, if you can give us a glimpse, if not details.
तो इसमें मैं बताना चाहूंगा एक पर्सपेक्टिव, जैसे ना डॉक्टर देवदत्त पटनायक हैं, उनका एक पर्सपेक्टिव है एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की लाइफ साइकिल को लेकर, और मैं बहुत उससे रिलेट करता हूँ. एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैज 4 phases, जस्ट लाइक वी हैव 4 युग्स: सतयुग, त्रेता, द्वापर, कलयुग. राइट? सो द बिगिनिंग स्टार्ट विद द सतयुग. एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है, जब वो स्टार्ट होती है तो इट्स लाइक अ सतयुग, जहां पर you have to follow the rules. If you are against the rules, you will be destroyed. You are supposed to be out. You can't make mistakes. Everything is perfect in Satyug. जब वो फेज जिसको बोल देते हैं स्टार्टअप फेज, फर्स्ट 1 year, 1.5 year. नेक्स्ट फेज कम्स विच इज कॉल्ड त्रेता युग. स्टेबल हो गया है, राम राज्य है ना. उसमें योर कमिटमेंट्स आर मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट देन द मनी. आप अपने एम्प्लॉइज को कमिटमेंट देते हैं, वो फेक नहीं होती है. दे कैन कैच यू ऑन by walking into your cabinet, or just question you. You said this but it didn't happen. Your clients can catch. You're not that big, right? You're approachable. तो यहाँ कमिटमेंट मैटर्स करती है, ट्रांसपेरेंसी मैटर्स करती है, पॉलिसीज मैटर नहीं करती है बाय द लेटर, इट मैटर्स बाय द स्पिरिट. तो प्राण जाए पर वचन न जाए, वो फिलॉसफी चलती है इसमें. एवरीथिंग इज विद धर्मा. अगर अधर्म से चल रहे हो तो यू विल बी आउट. देन द थर्ड फेज कम्स विच इज अ द्वापर युग. पॉलिटिक्स शुरू होती है एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, राइट? इसमें इसमें हर कोई अपने आप को सही बताता है बेस्ड ऑन द पॉलिसीज. स्पिरिट कुछ भी हो, बट एज पर द लेटर ऑफ द लॉ आई डिड समथिंग राइट, जबकि वो ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट होगा कि हाँ तुम पे करप्शन किया है. दिस वाज नॉट इंटेंडेड, अ वेल इंटेंडेड, राइट? So that's a phase number 3 of any organization. And the phase 4 comes, which is a Kali Yuga, यहाँ पर it's corrupted. It's too much of that. It's that the current system is no longer sustainable. It requires a drastic change, right? And that's where even the world has to be destroyed. तो कल की के रूप में भगवान जो है डिस्ट्रॉय करते हैं, सो दैट इट कैन गो बैक टू द फेज 1, which is a startup phase. The startup phase is nothing but it's a change in the management, a change in the way you work. तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि शायद the organization life span had moved to a point where there was a drastic need for a change, for good reasons, for a new perspective, new energy, new goals, and I was very much aligned with that.
If I'm, and I think prior, slightly prior to that first stage, if I'm not wrong, you don't come from a very rich background, and then doing the job for 5 years, and then jumping on the business, right, and starting a very from scratch doing a startup. What was your view? How you thought of jumping on on the startup?
Means, as you know, I come from a IIT circle. It gives you a perspective of the globe. So many entrepreneurs coming, they're telling their stories. We are exposed to so much कि वो कहीं ना कहीं एक स्ट्राइक हो जाता है कि अच्छा ये भी एक चीज होती है जो हम कर सकते, बट आई वॉन्ट से दैट आई वॉज टू डेस्परेट अबाउट. Then I 2011 I enrolled myself for this international business course at IIT. It was an executive batch. वहाँ मैं काफी सीनियर लोगों के साथ था. I was probably the It was a batch of 70 people. मैं शायद लास्ट 5 में था in terms of year of experience. और लोग काफी एक्सपीरियंस थे, 10 साल, 12 साल, 15 साल. तो वहाँ एक बहुत बड़ा पर्सपेक्टिव मिला. एंड आई थिंक आई थिंक सम कॉस्मिक डिजाइन वाज हैपनिंग बिहाइंड द सीन कि मैं एक ऐसी सिचुएशन में आ गया जहां पर getting into starting of this business was like a default option. It would be wrong to say that I did some calculation and I had a vision and I had something in my mind, and that's why I landed up. It was more like I was flowing, and at that point of time, I found an opportunity where I was able to add value, and people who who were available at that time, they had trust on कि हाँ ये बंदा doer है, ये कर लेगा, and that's how this company was born.
You are from IIT and then you did international business. And if you can share more about your business, because it's way different than engineering, if I'm not wrong, right? It goes more into the health or PV. If you rather you explain that, it will make more sense.
Sure. Yes, this is too different from my education.
Hmm.
So I did mechanical engineering from IIT BHU. मैं ये कहूँगा IITs इंजीनियरिंग के साथ साथ वो एक पर्सपेक्टिव बिल्ड करती है which works across any domain. तो IIT alumnus अगर आप थोड़ा सर्च करेंगे, you will find कि उनका एजुकेशन और उनका डोमेन दोनों not necessarily be the same. Right? तो मेरा 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 एजुकेशन मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग है, बट ये जो business tha, this was in the area of pharmacovigilance, which is a drug safety work. Absolutely zero relationship. But how I landed up, I was working in a company as an employee, which was into the same business. I was the 17th employee. I am designed to do things. I convert ideas or thoughts into action and execute and implement. That's my strength. Now, what happened? The founder of that company was my manager, and that company fired both of us.
Including the founder. Quite interesting.
Okay. As an obvious reason, I just dared to ask that the earlier founder, hey, would you like to start a company with me? I don't know from where I got that idea or thought or courage, and I don't know what is strike in his mind, and he said, let's try. What if we
So,
fail?
how long were you working in this organization?
I worked there for 1.5 years.
Okay, and when you decided to think through, were you somewhere unsure how the things will pan out? Because 1.5 year, honestly, is not too long to learn absolutely new industry, which is drug safety, which requires, if I'm not wrong, a very high amount of precision and compliances.
Absolutely. So that's where this individual uh,
Mhm.
had a major role to play because he was an industry SME. So he and this individual is a, US citizen. He had access to the clients, and I had an ability to deliver. So that's where there was a natural, fitment. So I gave him support, and this individual was probably 50s, in his 50s. He was recently got fired. I was in my 20s, young man, no marriage. I had nothing to lose. He had a lot of baggage, right? So that's how, and probably he had some trust on me, that he might have seen something in me that he agreed to work with me.
So it's right to say that you got your first co-founder just at the starting. You both started together. You guys joined any other member as a co-founder in your team down the line?
No, we just exited this company after 13 years.
Okay, so you were
So
remaining as the two co-founders and no one else. So you ever my first question comes up, and that is from the perspective of someone starting a new organization. The biggest first basic challenge that comes, Pushpendra, how to hire the first employee.
very good question. Very good. There is a this was very difficult for us. I I didn't know the challenges of hiring the first employee, but I discovered the challenge. so so I was the only one in India, and we were ready to bring first employee on boarded as a default options you search out in your network. One of my friend who was into the procurement services, he helped me out finding the resources, etc., etc. And the interviews again, I was using my friends and families to help me out how to take these interviews, get get the right assessments done. So all those were the operational challenges. Now, once you overcome them, you shortlist a candidate, and now you want that candidate to onboard. My first employee, potential employee, when I was done to get him hired, that individual, when he saw me, "Hey, this is a young man and the only man. How can I trust him?" So all your operational adjustments, taking her, getting things done, all fails. Right now, there is what to do at that point of time when somebody is not trusting at all. And I can totally understand the perspective. Right. So that is a challenge in hiring the first employee. Um, then I switched my approach. I then went not to the right fit person. I rather went into a potential candidate. So my first employee, instead of hiring a very experienced, seasoned employee, which was difficult to crack, even I was the only face in India, I moved to find people who were working in very, very small organizations. So I remember my first employee was earning 9,000 per month in his previous company, and his salary was being paid once in 3 months.
Oh,
And when I interviewed that individual, and I said, dude, this guy has a lot of potential. He's being undervalued, right? I offered him market standard salary and promised him, regular payout. This guy joined us. This guy joined us, and he worked with us for till 11 years in the company, continuous.
yeah, that talks about the trust and the relationship that you build. So which department you went ahead first? So was it a sales where you brought in the person, or some other areas?
And as a company which lasted for 13 years, we never hired a salesperson. We were literally getting more and more work as an outcome of our good work.
It's getting interesting. So can you share with the audience what and if I'm pronouncing correctly, pharmacovigilance. Is it right?
Right.
So, uh, as per my understanding, you had consulting services and other areas. So, if you can share more about what this organization do, because and then I'll come to how come an organization without a salesperson or a sales department itself survive. It's going to be interesting.
So pharmacovigilance is more is a very niche area. Okay. It's all related to drug safety.
Mm.
So imagine, and I'm just giving a kind of similarity. Imagine every country has their accounting standards to ensure the companies are not doing financial frauds, right? If somebody is doing a financial fraud, what's the downside? The downside is investors may lose money. Now take the same understanding in the drug safety world.
Mm.
Pharma companies are doing research and coming up with a drug which is being consumed by the patient. Now imagine if the drug does not do what it is supposed to do, and this chemical is doing more harm to your body than the positives. What's the downside? The human life
Exactly.
is at risk, right? So this industry is all about ensuring that the drugs are safe, and there are legislatives across all the countries. They have their own legislations to ensure the companies adhere to those rules and the drugs are safe. Maybe I share how this particular domain took a birth. It was sometimes in 60s, if I'm not wrong. Um, a company observed a, a real life scenario that the pregnant ladies in the morning when they wake up, there's a sickness. They feel lazy and there's energy missing in the body, etc. Now they came up with a drug that if you take this pill, you won't be, you will feel energetic. There won't be morning sickness. People took these pregnant ladies took that drug, whosoever wanted to take. And a study was conducted 7 years later. What is the outcome of this drug? And by the way, this drug worked. The morning sickness was over, right? But every drug has a side effect.
Yeah.
Now, the side effect of this drug was the birth of the babies was in a way that the babies did not have limbs. Both hand and legs were not there. That's how the world reacted. How come this happened? And they all pledged that we will not let it happen again. And that's where all countries came up and they stood up with a very stringent laws that whenever a drug is coming to the market, it's well tested, safe for the consumer, for the patient, and it is doing more positives than negative. For example, if you take a painkiller and the patient's hair starts falling as a side effect, would you call it, and the headache is gone? Would you consider that as a good outcome?
Absolutely bad.
And imagine other ways around. A cancer patient
Mm.
goes through chemotherapy, and the side effect is same: hair falls,
Yeah.
and it's acceptable.
Yeah.
So it's always the risk reward ratio,
Balance, absolutely. Understood.
right? That's where this PV is all.
But that makes me more curious because for that, an organization to be registered, providing consultancies, from my understanding, you said services and you are not IT. So I'm assuming it's mainly going to be the consulting services, right? Getting the right people on the job. But to one consulting to set up yourself as a PV expert, you certainly need not many compliances to be completed to be registered as an organization.
We we ought to, um, we were so to give more clarity, we were providing services from the IT perspective. Now, in order to be compliant with this legislative, these requirements, companies must have appropriate systems and processes in place, right? And these processes are very, very time sensitive.
Hmm.
So, and these drugs are globally being distributed, right? You have to track each drug, what's happening. If something is getting wrong, you have to take corrective actions immediately, etc., including rollback of your drug,
Drugs.
right? So, if your drug is being sold in 150 countries, one particular country revealed that this is happening to such and such kind of community, you have to take action across 150 countries.
Who are your customers then?
Our customers were whosoever are in the business of invention of the drug. So, like, if you take big names, Johnson and Johnson, Roche, Biogen, so all big pharma companies.
So you create IT solutions which are provided for these pharma companies so that these companies can showcase and their specific department take care of the PV part so that this organization, whenever they are getting their drugs ready, this reward and risk balance has been taken care of. Is that the right understanding?
Um, any pharma company who are into the business of invention of the drug and then take that drug into the market, we call this as a post-marketing drugs, right? Now, as per the legislation, whosoever is consuming these drugs, if there are side effects, these side effects are being tracked, they are being traced. So, just to give you a perspective, um, because it's very difficult to explain in high terms, but suppose you buy a cell phone, a 20,000 rupee cell phone. Somebody promised that it will be doing XYZ functions. You come home, you see that, and it doesn't work the way you expected it to work. Our by default action is we will yell about it, we will complain about it, there will be a forum, and with the hope that somebody would listen and correct it, right?
Absolutely.
But what happens when a doctor gives a patient a pill that this is what you should take in order to get yourself cured? And sometimes that pill does not cure, but gives rashes,
Yeah.
there is some side effects. At least I have observed, or I should say, I have been into a situation where doctor said, "Hey, this is not suiting you. Change the drug. Don't take this drug because this is not suiting your body." Right? And I used to just change the drug. Why I did not come up with a question? Hey, I paid for this drug, and this company claimed that this drug is going to cure me. It didn't cure, rather made me more sick. What I'm going to do about it, right? We never question about this. This is just changing. This is changing. As per the legislation, either the patient or the doctor or the relative, anybody can report this incident to the pharma company that I took your drug. This is what happened to me. Please look into this. Not as a complaint, but as an information, so that they can actually look into it. Did they miss something? Right? And that once that thing happens, that information goes to a central database. So
Understood.
imagine one drug is being sold to 180 countries. One patient in some country had that experience. He reports this to central database, and similarly, every
Different.
from
Yeah.
we are getting the information. And once we have this information at the central database, within 7 days, this needs to be assessed and all 150 countries needs to be reported that my drug was taken in such and such country by such and such person. This happened to him. This outcome. Just be aware.
I'm just writing it down. I'm deliberately trying to zoom out. It's a fascinating area. I think offline we'll have a lot of conversation about it. The capital aspect of it, yeah. You thought through after 5 years of starting an organization. You started an organization. You got the co-founder, and you had the ideas, and the idea is something where you both had worked upon. But then comes the capital part. How much capital does it require? How you pull that capital yourself, and then we'll go on the VC part of it as well. You ever thought of going to VC or not?
So we were lucky. We were lucky that, and I was over conscious about the capital throughout. As you rightly said, we come with a middle class family or little, lower middle, whatever it is. Um, and we were taught by birth, take capital seriously, right?
Yeah,
If you have 10 rupees in your pocket, don't ever think about 11 rupee expenses.
absolutely.
So I think that value worked for me. As I said, we were into the service industry. So I don't need to build something first and then say, I'm a service provider. I can only provide service once there is a customer. So what I needed was just a laptop and myself in order to get the deliveries done. When I hired my first employee, I was 150% occupied. And another thing was interesting thing in the company. All the partners were not the cost centers. Everybody was hands on the delivery. And as I said, we had no salesperson, no marketing person. So literally, we had no overheads in the company. Our work was generating more work,
Hmm.
right? So we were very conscious, and that makes us cash rich. We never had a situation where we were worried how we would pay our bills.
So you said partners, right? Is it different because you were two co-founders starting the business and then you were partners? So is that different? Is it related to WCG, that the partnership that you did, that you're referring to, or something else?
So we two people started the company, but as the company grew, we needed more talent and more people to join the force. Few joined as an employee, few big, you know, uh, more critical resources. We joined them on the equity based.
Okay.
We called all the equity holders as partners.
Okay.
By the time we sold the company, we were six partners.
All right. And when you say six partners, that means they were completely equity based. So one is ESOP, one is equity based. So they're partners, equity based partners.
Equity based.
Me here, one is co-founder. Very clear. You had an idea. You both were complementing each other's skills. If you have to start an organization again, uh, then do you see that you have a kind of framework in your mind? What kind of partner, what kind of co-founder you will be looking forward to?
In my opinion, partners do require. You can't run the show in all alone. Um, one may get tired and demotivated soon. So you need more forces with the same enthusiasm for the bigger goal for a long-term partnership perspective. Um, I was lucky to have partners who were trustworthy. We worked together for 13 years, and we hardly had a situation where we were we had any bad experiences. Choosing a partner, if that's an option available, I would choose somebody who is trustworthy. A second, who is here more than money. The person is onboarded to add value for the same goal. The person is passionate about the work we are doing, uh, and then rest everything will fall in place. That's how I would say.
And do you see that the partners that you had, because you just mentioned that all except sales is what you were taking care of. And though we may say salesperson is not there, but these partners were also working kind of sales aspect they were taking care of.
Oh,
And
definitely. Only partners were doing the direct sales. So the US team, we had three partners in US and three partners in India when we got 2 years completed with the company. The US team was heavy lifting around the sales and front, you know.
and what is your mix? So majority of business coming from US, or was it regionally well divided in different continents?
I would say majority was from US. US is a big market,
Yeah.
and then but we has a uh, good portion from Europe and some portion from Japan.
And you mentioned that you started you hired your first person apart from partners, but you hired your first person after 1.5 year, right?
No,
Of
no, no. My first employee was hired, I think, within 6 months. At that point, we were just two co-founders in the company. We never had third partner.
Oh, okay. You got the employee first and then got the partner. But looking at 150% occupied, you felt any time that, as a hindsight, that you went on the journey of hiring an employee a little late than what you should have done it because you're too occupied?
No, we had a first employee within 6 months of the foundation of the company, which was, I mean, that's where we needed it. We didn't hire just for the sake of hiring. We hire when, as and when there was a need to hire, right? And we that's how we kept ourselves lean. There was enough meat available for somebody to come and join the party,
And when you
rather
got your first customer?
on day one of the company.
Oh, so you guys thought, and then you so what? So what is
No,
the journey between you thought of starting and getting the first customer?
okay, okay. So this reminds me. So when we wanted to start the company, prior to that, uh, my US partner was providing independent consultant services to some company because
Oh,
we both were out, right,
right.
from the previous organization, but we had talent. People knew us, so we were providing this independent consultant services. We formed the company, and then the same services now routed through the company. That's why I said on the day
From
one
the
we
day
had a
one.
client.
Right. That's the best way. That's the best situation, right? That you start an organization having a client with you. That's quite good, and I think it must be giving you good confidence that from scratch you're not looking forward to have a client.
Yeah, I mean, I would go back to the same thing. Within the service organization, if you just remove the hat of founder kind of tag, you are a service provider,
Right.
right? If you don't carry that baggage that I am the CEO or I am the founder, how can I need X person to do X job, Y person to do Y job, then it's a baggage. But if you're there to add value to your client, you are just a service provider.
And what if you see that the skill which is required, which can do someone else can do a better job for us than what I can do? How do you balance those two thoughts?
Oh
So
yeah,
what?
definitely. We have to bring those talented, but you don't need that until you need it,
Yeah.
right? So today I can only my customer is let's say I'm just giving an example. My customer is a kilometer far away. I don't need a plane ticket. Right? I can walk. If my customer is in a different city, I probably need a car or a taxi. If my customer is in a different country, definitely I need an international visa, airline. So it's as you grow,
It's skill
your
based.
things, the means you need to acquire, including resources, processes, infrastructure. Those things would go along. You That's how I saw it.
So if I say if someone want to start today, what minimum validation they should look forward to before they begin?
True entrepreneur does not look for validation. He goes with a confidence that yes, I can add value. It's like a treadmill. You are on a treadmill. The day you stop, you will fall down. If I can afford 6 months bench salary for that interview, then only I am going to hire someone. When they said we will acquire you on that value, you're like, what? Do we value that much?
So the same question with which I would like to end with you. Are you happy?